The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Hello there, everyone. This is Auntie Zaza from Auntie Zaza's Fireside Chat. And we're here today to talk about mittens. And I'm going to give a little demonstration about that. But before we get into that, I always like to share with you up-and-coming events that are happening in the area. So as you saw in our most recent episode, we're working on a yarn installation project that we're excited about. Stay tuned for hearing about where it is on our social media on Facebook. And we will fill you in on the details as we get closer to May. The second news is, let's see, on the last Saturday of April is Love Your Local Yarn Shop Day. Typically, we have a sale on our yarns on that day, so stay tuned for that, and be sure to support your local yarn shop. We're always appreciative of people as they stop in and get nice Mother's Day presents for their family members who love to knit or crochet. And there are two events that are happening at the Natural Resource Trust. One will be in May 10th on a Saturday, where there's a fun community project day. And we plan to be there with our community loom and offer some fun activities for the kiddos in weaving. So come find us there. And the second activity that we're doing at NRT is related to the book club that's up and coming. I think the name of the sweater, the title of the book is Animal to Sweater, and I don't remember the author right now. But Auntie Zaza will be there offering a variety of hands-on experiences with combing, carding, using a drop spindle, observing someone spinning, and getting to experience some of the beginning steps of knitting and crocheting. So check out with the Ames Free Library about that event, and be sure to sign up, and we'll be excited to be with you at NRT on both of those days. Let's see. So, I was going to tell you about the cowl that I am wearing. Is a really fun little stitch. It's created by the designer Andrea Mowry, who's an up-and-coming designer. And it's a very beautiful mosaic-like knitting. Here's another sample. This is a shawl, but you can see how stunning the material is that I've created. And it's basically is just a knit 2 rows, and then the next row you slip a stitch and purl a stitch, and that gives this dramatic little pop where these little bumps of color are jumping out. It is only using 2 contrasting balls of yarn in this. On the Andrea Mowry pattern, she uses 5 different yarns that creates a lot of drama in the shawl. But I just found with this beautiful yarn from Noro that there's so much diversity in the color. And I chose the background color is kind of earth tones. And then the one that's doing the pop is more of a vibrant jewel tone colors that creates that kind of drama. You wouldn't want to choose 2 colors that are really matchy-matchy, because then you would lose that pop. And so this is a very different look using a very different yarn, but you can still see that it's got a lot of fun happening with the colors just transitioning by themselves and popping out. So I had to just show you that because it's a beautiful project. We have loads of material here for the project, and we can help you with identifying the pattern called the shift, or this one's called the night shift. The cowl is called the shift by Andrea Mowry. So today what our focus is on felted mittens. And I have this really fun pattern that I wrote that you can get down here, but it makes these lovely warm mittens. And what you do is work when you make felted material. You want to be working with 100% wool. If there are, if there's acrylic or if it's superwash, it's not going to transform into the felted work. So felting is the combination of heat, hot water, and a little bit of soap and agitation. Yeah, I guess the heat is the hot water. And then agitation. So I'm sure many of you have had the experience that by accident a knitted hat ended up into the dryer or into the washer. And what ends up happening is that knitted hat will felt, and it ends up shrinking about 30% in its size. And all of the fibers, if you've looked at a human hair underneath a microscope, the animal fibers are similar, or the animal hairs are similar in that they have little barbs. And then as you do the agitation process, the barbs actually cling together and create a very matted look, which is fabulous if you're out in the snow because it creates such density that the moisture doesn't come into your hand, and you stay nice and warm and dry, like the animals do, believe it or not, when they're out in the snow, you know? Maybe we don't always need all this whatever, the Arctic wear. So here's a little, well, I don't know if you can quite see it, but this is a smaller knitted mitten, but it hasn't been felted yet, and you can still see quite a definition of the stitches. What you're also going to notice, depending on the color of the yarn, so even if you use exactly the same size, the same type of yarn, different colors of that same type are going to felt differently. And it seems that the white yarn ends up maybe felting the least easily, where you'll end up seeing some stitch definition, but a lot of the other colors create a really dense matted look. So, oh, this one, I don't know if we can zoom in a little. You can sort of see it's a different size. This is a child size that hasn't been felted yet, but you can actually see what a difference where you have such stitch definition on this one. And then when it gets felted, it just all, gets matted on purpose. So what I was going to do for the fun of it is give you a little lesson today on how do you use double-pointed needles. My observation with many of my students is they just really, really shy away from it, saying like, what? It's complicated enough for me to work with 2 needles. How could I even begin working with 4? That just sounds ridiculous. And I always think of my goddaughter, who, when I taught her how to do it, and I said, yeah, like some of my students just really struggle with this. And her brilliant response as a 5-year-old was, oh, you should just tell your students to tell the needles, get out of the way. So that's my hot tip. Not sure how it's going to work for everyone, but it was funny advice. Let's see if I can get this in a little bit more comfortable position here. So I've casted on already some stitches. In doing these mittens, I was using a US 10. I was working with Lopi yarn, and yeah, for using a US 10, so it's thick, loose stitch that then when it shrinks through the felting process, it gets tighter. For this demonstration, I'm actually using what's probably carpet yarn, but I kind of liked how big and thick it is. I like the idea that it's white. I'm using these really big needles just to show you more easily. I'm thinking you'll have to let me know in comments as to whether this was an easy way to see it. But I've casted on already 14 stitches, or are there 14? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. And I'm going to add, let's see, I'll add two more. So there's 12. I'm going to bring it up to I'll bring it up to 16. 12, 13, 14, My little tail's getting short. I'm being kind of funny that I said the 16, but there was a method to it. Now, what we're going to do, so I did my cast on. I'm then going to start introducing my needles. And what I'm going to do is scooch off, let's say 6. I'm just sliding them. The tip is going into the stitch and I'm scooping it off the left onto the right, just one at a time. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do 5. 5 sounds like a good number. So here we go. I'm going to scoop off these, and this guy can just hang out there. Nothing bad's going to happen. It's a little intimidating at first because you think everything's going to slide off. Here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, now what I need to do, you can kind of see if I lie it in a row, I need my cast on to just stay straight. And I'm going to bring it around like this. So all of my cast on row is facing in the interior of the work. I'm going to get my tail out of the way and my working yarn in back. Something like this. Then I'm going to pick up my new needle. And I'm going to pick up the triangle like this. Here's the tail coming off the back. It's hanging off the right needle, right? Kind of see what I'm doing? I don't want this helicoptering around. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, I'm going to now go into the first stitch and I'm going to be joining it around. I'm going to join it in the round with my next stitch. And I'm actually just going to start knitting. If I wanted like a rib on the cuff, a rib is knit 1, purl 1, or knit 2, purl 2. I can just start that. But this particular pattern, it's just stockinette, or it's just knitting all the way around. So I just came to the end of my row. The stitches were on this needle. This is now the empty one. So I want to put my working needle is in my right hand. I'm coming over here to the left needle. Here's where my yarn is. I'm going to put my needle into the next stitch on the left needle. Here's my working yarn just hanging off of this guy, and I'm going to bring it around just like knitting and go ahead and knit to the end of this needle. Now I'm on needle 2. When you read a pattern, it will say, oh, on needle 1, needle 2, needle 3, like when you're making a sock, oftentimes needle 2 is the instep. Okay, here I go. I'm right at the end. I'm going to knit this last stitch. My working needle is going to be all done. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to switch hands. It's going to come into my right hand. And I'm bringing up needle 3. Here's needle 3. This one's 2 is all done. There's my yarn in the back. I'm going to take my empty needle and stab it in just like knitting. Get my working yarn, and I'm going to come down behind the needle, the empty needle, peek it through, and I'm just knitting. It's a little intimidating because you really feel like everything's going to slide out. I think once you get the hang of it, it all does hold together. The first row is awkward. Always when we're doing this stuff, when you're just at the beginning, it's awkward because you're creating something out of nothing. But little by little, it gets a little easier to hang on to. So I finished this one. My empty needle's ready to go. I put it in position, come down, around, right into the back. Now I'm knitting again, right to the end. Kind of in a funny position here. It's not totally comfortable. You like that? I'll do it again. Watch. So here's the last stitch. Boom. Empty one comes away, comes over in here. Now I'm going to show you another little fancy technique. I like thinking about See how it's an X here? My hand is coming into position and I'm holding it like this. Then once I get underway with my new needle, and I don't have many stitches on, so this particular thing doesn't matter. If we have a lot, it makes more sense, but see how it's kind of like a W and my hands are holding on at the X's? You kind of see, or it looks like the Roman numeral 20, right? And I have one hand comes in here, and I'm controlling the stitches on the left needle, and the other hand is coming into the other side of the Roman numeral, and then I can control what's happening here. These guys are they're really just hanging out in left field. I can even go like this, and they're just hanging out there. But to control the whole thing, I put my thumb in the front and my index finger in back of that Roman numeral 10. And similarly on this side, whoops, get my yarn in the back, coming in here, then I'm holding these two. These are the two that I'm working with. These ones here that are pointing out west and east, they're not doing anything. They're just hanging out. Do it again, down to the end. See how I'm kind of working around them. It's kind of funny because these needles are so fat. When they're skinnier needles, it's not quite so cumbersome, but see that move? I just went right into position here. Now I'm holding it. The empty one is ready to go. That's my tail. Get it out of the way. Come into position. Here's the yarn. Come around. Doodle-loop. Knit down to the end of the row. It actually is really fun. This is how you make socks. It's how you make sleeves on a baby sweater. It's how we make mittens. Because if you think about it, there is a circular needle that's a size 9 circular needle. And it's a little challenging to work with those as well. But in order for us to create a circle or a diameter, which you need in the construction of a sock is a cylinder, and it has a smaller diameter than a hat. So with a hat, you use a 16-inch circular, but there really isn't a means to be able to create this small of a cylinder without using the double-pointed needles. It's just, even though it's a little bit of a sharp learning curve, that's what I say, getting used to using the double-pointed needles. It's really an important technique to learn because let's say, you're finishing a hat. Right at the end of the hat, you're going to need to switch to double-pointed needles. And there are lots and lots of times when you're knitting where you need to be able to have the mastery of this particular technique. Anywho, so there you go. You can see it starting to take shape. The little bit of the stockinette is starting to show up. And stockinette, that's when you're looking at the work and it looks like little V's or little hearts, right? So if it's garter stitch, then that's when there's kind of those hills and the valleys, the bumps showing. But those little V's, that's stockinette stitch. So pretty. So that's it. Making happy mittens. I always try to encourage people, the mittens are fun because they're little and they're portable. Socks are fun because they're little and they're portable. A lot of times mittens we're working in the wool, but to have a smaller project through the summer months is desirable because having a larger shawl or a blanket on you gets pretty warm. So you might think about this as a fun skill to start to learn now and then be able to start making them and collecting them, and you'll have some beautiful, beautiful gifts for the holidays. It's right around the corner. That's the thing with us knitters. We have to plan ahead. So this might be a signature gift for 2025. Think of that under the tree or at your Hanukkah celebration. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And you can find us at auntieZazas.com for buying any of your knitting and crochet needs. And we're located for our brick and mortar store at 104 Main Street here in Easton, right next to Farmer's Daughter. So come on down, see what's happening down here, and enjoy some of the fun and the beautiful colors, and get inspired and start to knit or crochet if you haven't done so already. Take care. See you next time.